Get started. Thanks everybody for joining. Susan, Freedom, thanks for joining. Hi everybody. Insomnia and nightmares, dealing with PTSD. I'm almost 58 years old. Like I was saying, Air Force veteran, retired police, correction supervisor. I supervise the isolation units. And here we go. You're going to see. I do have 4 cats and 3 dogs, so you may see some animals jump up. This one and the little white one that's over here, the puppy, he likes to be on the camera too. So anyhow, animals, by the way, are a great relief of stress, great relief dealing with PTSD. Of course, I didn't plan on having 7, but my wife and my son, some things kind of happened, and this is what we ended up with. I'm going to try and no, I can't hit a link right there. I was looking to try and check something. Don't forget, those on TikTok, go to Sergeant Beast Larson on YouTube and subscribe, check it out. And I'm making a big announcement tonight, the Sergeant Beast Apparel store, and I have links I can put on this when this is over. I can't get a link on this on the live, I don't think. Gifts, comment. Yeah, maybe I can. Let me try something here. There we go. There we go. Sergeant Beast. I put a link. We have, and this isn't it. Have a merchandising store that was set up for me, and the shirt has the word Beast, and I got that nickname for a lot of reasons. That's a different story, different video. Great for a PTSD conversation, but just not tonight's. But it says the Beast, Sergeant Larson. I also have shirts that have it's a circle and has the teal colored for PTSD. This podcast name Painting for PTSD. So shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, ball caps. On this link that I posted there, you'll see it says the order item. You can get on there and check it out. Let's talk about insomnia just a little bit. Well, first let me clarify, and I've talked, this is episode 13, I've talked about PTSD several different ways. But PTSD not just for war. I was in the military in the peacetime before the war started. I worked in police and retired. I worked in security industry. I worked in 4 years as a supervisor in a max security prison. So combination of things in life outside of war has caused some PTSD issues that I finally admitted 2 years ago at age 56. And my wife, we've been married 30 years. Lenny, how you doing there? Thanks for joining. I finally admitted this, but my wife has kind of said and hinted all along that I've had PTSD issues. And I don't wake up in the middle of the night from nightmares. I'm not screaming. I'm not having I don't want to say crazy outbursts because nobody's crazy that has outbursts. I'm not having outbursts. That's normal for somebody that has seen things. And I can replay. If you go back and look early in these podcasts, like episode 2 and 3, and I talk about the signs I missed, and I'm talking about like 100 deaths in an 8-mile stretch as a police officer on these roads. Gee, you think suicide, murder, car wrecks, and train wrecks, and a woman and her 3 kids getting hit on the train tracks from the boyfriend because she was going to leave him for a new boyfriend. It knocked that car 300 feet down the tracks and up in the air. They had to have a fire truck and go up the ladder to find the bodies in the car. Yeah, I could draw you a picture of that in my head. And that's what I'm talking about, nightmares and insomnia. Let me tell you a couple things about, insomnia. This is just generic, basic information, Googling it, just to let you know. Insomnia is a common and debilitating symptom of PTSD. 60 to 90% of people with PTSD have insomnia. 90% of people with PTSD have nightmares. Nightmares meaning something there that they're reliving, seeing, something that's reflected from the past, something that's not just sunshine and roses and daisies. You know, pizza chocolate, fried chicken, grilling up corn on the cob. That's great dreams. Outside of the great dreams is what I'm talking about. Outside of those dreams. And there's some things on here, and I'll give you some personal opinion. And you know, call me Steve, I'm retired, I'm done, I'm disabled, had spine surgery, disabled from everything. But, you know, I agree with some things and some notes and facts, and there's some things I disagree, and I'll tell you why. You know, and the first thing, and with insomnia, hyperarousal, you can't fall asleep and relax. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. My wife, talking about getting PTSD, her main stress is some things growing up, some things that had happened to her, being a victim, and later in life, injury when I was doing strongman. She was working out, got some plantar fasciitis, went to a podiatrist who thought he was like God and miracle saver, and he gave her a bunch of shots and blew her foot up. Caused a nerve disease, complex regional pain syndrome. So the mistreatment from a doctor ended up in a malpractice lawsuit, and it had a terrible lawyer. So doctors give you PTSD for damn sure. A bad lawyer, well, you know, we all kind of consider most lawyers bad. Most, not all. I got a couple of lawyer friends that are good. But he didn't help, didn't represent, and just basically screwed his case over. It's terrible. Yeah, that caused her PTSD. She got terrible pain. Pain causes her insomnia. She takes medicine. She takes trazodone to try to go to sleep, and has to wait, Xanaflex or tizanidine, and wait. And her normal routine is to go to bed about 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. But they say can't relax or fall asleep. That's her. Me, I get tired. 11 o'clock, I can go lay down. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I can lay down and within a minute I go to sleep, period. So falling asleep isn't hard for me, it's the afterwards. Nightmares are vivid and disturbing, we know that. Avoidance, fear of reliving trauma. So insomnia can be, for some people, the fear of knowing a bad dream. And I've written 2 books, and I'm writing my third book, and I'll tell you this little secret in the book. I begin talking about a childhood, and this book, my third book, is about faith. But as a child, I remember it started when I was 6 up until about 8 or 9. I would have this dream every night, and we always watched Scooby-Doo. Now, I'm almost 58, so I go way back to old school cartoon. And I had always had this dream of this man with a hood on, a big coat, arms out like this, walking up the stairs, 6 stairs up into the house, chasing me, and I'd have to go downstairs in the basement. You know, and I was afraid to go to sleep as a child, you know, age 6, 7, 8, 9, 9-ish. And my brother joked with me, like, he's 2 years older, like, it's no big deal, it's just a dream. But I go to dream and I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like this, and then all of a sudden it stopped. Fear of going to sleep. Now as a child, yeah, I did have problems going to sleep. I'd lay there for half an hour. I'd pretend I was sleeping. And parents come knocking, you know, by, and mom come and look in the door and check on us. I pretend I was asleep. Cognitive disorders. Negative thoughts and beliefs about sleep can contribute to insomnia. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Negative thoughts. You're thinking something bad's going to happen. I know this is going to happen. Now, as a police officer, I had a reoccurring dream. It wasn't the same scene, but the reoccurring part as a police officer was things were happening, people were getting injured, and I would try and fire my weapon and there was no bullets in it. It wouldn't fire. It would just click. And I would take it out, take the magazine out, check, you know, rack the slide, do all the things you're supposed to, get it reloaded, and guess what? It still wouldn't fire, So I'd have to pick up an object or a knife. And I watched a lot of crazy movies, and it would just have to be hand-to-hand physical stuff. But when I retired from police in 2008, I've not had that dream ever since. I retired September 1, 2008. I've not had one dream, this is 2025, about my gun not having bullets in it. My dreams changed. Imagine that. Psychological change. PTSD can alter brain chemistry and hormone levels, can affect sleep patterns. Well, I've been a male. I've always had a lot of hormones. It hasn't changed my sleep patterns. My brain chemistry, nothing's ever showed up in blood test or whatever. So we haven't got that deep into my brain ever, or had a need to check some chemical imbalance. So I don't know how to answer that, but I know others have went through and things have changed. You know, I'm at like age 35, I started taking DHEA over the counter, but it boosted my testosterone. My wife's gynecologist that delivered children um, told me about that. Then I switched to the Walmart brand, 6 Star, and the red bottle says testosterone boost. I still take that a little bit. I don't go to hormone therapy, the doctor, like you hear on a commercial. I just grab this from Walmart and good to go. Hey, everybody. Chris, J.E., Henry, Gerald, thanks for joining. Joe Buck, hey. Menace to Dennis, dang, that's crazy. Nobody cares. Yeah, parents' fault. I like that, Lenny. Row your boat gently down the stream. If you like this live, double tap your screen. Thank you for that. And I did post on here, it says online store. If you missed that, you can get some of the Sergeant Beast apparel. It says Beast, big word Beast. It's American flag colors. Click on that link and check it out. Right above it, it says the, and then underneath Sergeant Larson. Then I have a second logo. That's the PTSD, Painting for PTSD logo. Just to support, a show to help the community about PTSD. One of the reasons, let me tell you this really quick, everybody. One of the reasons that I got into this over the last few years, I'm a YouTuber. I do a lot of correctional training stuff, YouTube posts, and a bunch of groups on Facebook and links. And about 5 or 6 times there's been a comment on there in a group. Somebody would say, like the last one, I'm on the floor in the kitchen with a bottle of whiskey and a gun in my hand. Police are knocking at the door. So I got on there and I hit the button. I hit send a message. I sent a message. You know, I'd seen the guy's profile and stuff, what he said. I sent him a message and I said, call me, and I put my phone number on there. And he called me the next day and we talked about an hour. He lives in Canada. And the police came, they took him to the hospital, gave him some medicine, calmed down, talked to the psychiatrist overnight. He worked in corrections in Canada. And he just was having an awful time dealing with some things. Enough to the point that he had a gun in his head and whiskey in his hand, and he was very intoxicated and willing. Wife took the kids, he was all alone. We still talk. Now this has been 2022. 3 years we still talk. So I've run into a few people like this that's posted that are really needing help. And there's a handful of us that are in these groups on Facebook. Anthony Ganji, Russ Hamilton, Gary York, Keith Helwig, that have reached out to people, and we've talked together collectively. We're all older, senior correctional folks, and we've helped people in law enforcement community. I've done podcasts about this before. I did one for a nonprofit group talking about PTSD, the difference in police and corrections and how it's handled. So that's kind of how I just a passion, like, hey, people need this stuff in PTSD. I need to say something. I need to go. Dennis the Menace to Hat. Yes. It just came out live today. I have to order my own, as a matter of fact, to get me some shirts and get me some hats. My hair's going back. It's time for hats. But check them out. T-shirts are $20. The hoodies, hats are $35. And there's a long sleeve and a sweatshirt without the hood, and they're like $20 or $25. Okay, let me tell you something else. Insomnia here can worsen PTSD symptoms, increased stress and anxiety. Now, how many of you have stress and anxiety in your life? I'm going to raise both my hands because I have stress and I have anxiety. I have anxiety and I have stress. After spine surgery last year, walking through the store and standing, about 15 minutes, it feels like somebody's ripping my spine out, kind of like the Predator movie, like my head and my skull. And I'm facing they tested me for and looked for a leak in spinal fluid, not seeing that. So I think the next step is have surgery and on some disc in my neck, um, and then maybe another back surgery. I kind of had exploded things in my body. But impaired cognitive function, insomnia. Of course, when you're really tired, you know this, but they say, psychologists say, that's presented some material, that you have poor concentration, memory issues, short-term memory issues, and decision-making difficulties. Well, yeah, stress will do that. Insomnia will do that. Being distracted will do that. Being hungry will do that. People get hangry. They make terrible decisions. It does. Insomnia will increase, possibly, the use and abuse of substances. Well, we just talked about that. Several friends. I lost two close friends that overdosed. Stress and addiction. And I've talked about it in some different videos. Stress and addiction. It's a terrible thing. Reduced quality of life, your daily functions, work, and relationships. Yeah, when you don't sleep and you're not sleeping and you start to get snappy, If you notice I'm wringing my hands are numb and tingly. And the nerve down here that they probably need to address first, like the C8, the T1, that controls the nerve to the hands. And we need to get stuff fixed. I've had trigger finger surgery on this thumb. I need it on these fingers. This middle finger and this one is starting the signs. I just need to go in and release that. Quality of life, yeah. You know, I ride an electric scooter at Walmart and Kroger's and the stores that I go out to, and if I have to walk, I'm like a few minutes and I'm sitting down. Yeah, it does change the quality of life. That's from the spine, but also, you know, I don't sleep well. Cognitive behavioral therapy? Question mark? You can't tell me to change my thoughts. And a psychologist says they're talking about this cognitive behavior therapy in a controlled environment, talking about issues, talking about things that are going on, and then instructing you. And I haven't been through this, just reading about it, and trying to tell you to redo and change some of the outcome of your thoughts, of your nightmares. Well, I'm here to tell you, you know, in the military in 1988 in Turkey, I was underneath this guard shack, Turkey on the perimeter. I went down and the Turkish officer was about 10 feet above my head, looked like a deer stand. He was perimeter security. Every 2 hours they check. Sergeant comes by, officer driving him, or the young military guy driving him. He gets out, he finds the guy, this guard asleep on top of me, shoots him in the head right over top. I'm looking up like this, 10 feet, blood's dripping down through the wood. I had to move, the blood was dripping on me. And you can't tell me, I don't care. I mean, we got any psychiatry, psychology, professional mental health trained folks that are on here, post a comment to me. But you can't not tell me to change my dream of watching that guy get shot in the head and blood dripping on me. I cannot change that dream. I can't change what I saw. I can't draw a picture of different. I can't throw a couple roses and some pizza up there and then make my nightmare go away. That thought go away, that vision go away. That doesn't work. I'm not a believer in some of the things. Medications, sleep aids. Well, migraines, they gave me Depakote. You're going to laugh. The generic form of Depakote, and I can't pronounce it, starts with a D also. They were giving that to the inmates in the prison for migraines. They'd say they have headaches and migraines. Well, you know what? The generic version, if you read it like down the 10th thing that it helps is ED, erectile dysfunction. So out of 1,050 inmates in this max security prison, they were given about 250 inmates a medication for migraine that's also used for erectile dysfunction. Now you got 250 inmates that are taking something equivalent to Viagra. You know what kind of problems we had? You know how many rapes and assaults we had at that point? Unbelievable. We figured this out, and then all of a sudden they found something cheaper and stopped it. So then it's like taking Viagra away from 250 inmates and giving them a Flintstone vitamin. Those guys went nuts. But physically, you know, they were with it, you know, had problems by just stopping that cold turkey because they're trying to save a buck. Yeah, I got a big LOL here in my notes. Medicines here's on page 2 here. Let's talk about a few things about nightmares, kind of comparing. I already told you nightmares affect about 90% of PTSD individuals have nightmares. Brain, a heightened state of arousal after experiencing trauma. Go figure. You watch people get shot in the head, ran over by a car. You watch your parents, you watch people die. You see people sexually assaulted, strangled, hanging. I've seen people, I pulled inmates down hanging in a prison. Saved 8 inmates' lives. I call them inmates, they're not people. They was an inmate. Sorry, I'll offend somebody, but in just 3 months, there was a trend in 2019. And you know what? 3 of those 8 inmates tried to stab me. 3 of them tried to stab me, and I was saving their life that they were trying to commit suicide. Thanks for joining there, Dennis Webb 994, being on here listening. Insomnia and nightmares, PTSD. The podcast title, and you'll see on the page, you'll see some links. You'll find, on Facebook, I got an official page for this podcast, Painting for PTSD. I'm going to say this word wrong. The amygdala. Part of the brain involved in fear becomes overactive. Well, when you see traumatic things and they say it causes fear and the fight and flight syndrome and endorphins get released and all these big fancy words, and I'm not a doctor to tell you all this stuff. But yeah, it's natural to have fear for people, in Special Forces, Navy SEALs, those, they talk about the 1% that don't have this fear. So you're normal to be 99% of the people and have fear after you've been exposed to something that traumatic, and death, whatever. Thanks for joining there, Tommy. Insomnia and nightmares, PTSD. It does ruin people's lives. And next week's episode, too, by the way, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is when PTSD controls your life. That's what I'm going to talk about. And then that's April the 3rd. Then April the 10th, I have a special guest, military veteran, and also somebody that worked at the prison with me. We're going to talk about when suicidal thoughts lead to actions. That's coming up in 2 weeks. Don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss that. You'll see the links, 4 or 5 days ahead of time. Unprocessed trauma memories that are replayed during sleep. Well, you can process trauma, you can unprocess trauma, you can not process trauma. It depends on the person. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. I've tried to process and process. But I've seen a lot of trauma, and I saw this. It's just something I saw on Blue Bloods. And I really like it. I know it's a TV show and it's about the police stuff. But it was a basic statement, and I've heard it before. The average human may see 3 to 5 traumatic incidents in their lifetime. 3 to 5 in a lifetime. Police officers may see 10 to 12 per shift. 2 to 3 per shift. 5 per shift. Thanks for joining. Thank you, everybody. So when you retire as a police officer and you've seen thousands of traumatic, how do you process? How do you unprocess? How do you categorize? How do you get through those? That's a lot of stuff to replay. That's a lot of stuff to deal with. And I talk about compartmentalizing. I talk about this last week, when you just put them in the closet and shut the door. You can't do that. The door's got to be open. You've got to look. You've got to listen. Here we go. Here comes my other favorite movie star pet right here. He loves to be on TV, don't you? Yeah. You like to be on the videos. This is Klaus. He's he's Chihuahua and Chinese crested, and he gets his hair all going up here, and you mess his hair up, and he's got to shake it and fluff it out. He does not like to have his hair all slicked down. Funniest thing in the world. Stress relieving right here. Pets. Vivid, realistic imagery, I talked about that. Intense emotions, fear, anxiety, terror, replaying specific details. That's nightmares. That's nightmares. You know, there's not a magic thing to nightmares. I'm going to get to something here in a second that somebody posted when I advertised this. Somebody posted. See what y'all think. Psychotherapy, I had a question mark. You know, they sent me to anger management when I worked in a prison. I ended up teaching a class, and I said, I'm not angry. I said, I'm role playing. It's like good cop, bad cop. When you work in a prison and they act a certain way and you do things, you flip your emotions back and forth like this. I'm not angry at all. I'm just outsmarting them like a good interview all day long. Good cop, bad cop. It's a routine. You know, and they called me. The captain called me and warden called me in. And I was like, you've seen stuff on TV. You heard a good cop, bad cop. Come hang out with me for a day for a shift. You'll see I'm smiling. I'm doing this. I'm doing it for a reason. Because I'm controlling the people, the inmates, not people. I've been away from the prison now since 2019, 6 years. That's a good sign. I do miss it, though. Working at the prison, not being incarcerated, working at the prison. But I told him, I said, you know, I'm smiling. You need to come see and figure out what I'm doing. There's a method to the madness here, and it's stopping manipulation. Imagery rehearsal therapy. IRT, they have an acronym for it, the psychological world. It's so great. Rehearse nightmare in a controlled environment. Gradually changing content to make it less distressing. So, I was telling you, anger management. Yeah, not angry. It sent me to classes. They wanted me to talk, wanted me to listen, to think. No, I'm telling them, I'm teaching them how to control, how to have mind games against the inmates and not be manipulated. Yeah. When you're involved in really bad things in law enforcement and they send you to the psychologist, and I've been a psychologist as well, being on the SWAT team and as a sniper, and they had to interview and make sure that I was okay mentally and stable, which I said yes, and they said yes, and I was a sniper and I was on the SWAT team and even went to team leader school, you know, got the thumbs up. I checked out. I did it on purpose. I did it on purpose. But when you get involved and they send you and they want you to talk to somebody and they want to make sure you're okay, and you know, you want me to go sit on the couch and sit like this and then talk to a counselor with a nice fancy clothes on and desk and books all behind him, everything. You see what's behind me? Easter baskets, getting ready for Easter. You know, resurrection of Christ, the meaning of Easter, and some chocolate. Going to be some chocolate here in the house. But, you know, when I'm talking to the psychologist, people, more than one people, and, you know, they're asking me this and talking about this imagery and the nightmares and then whatever, trying to get things reversed. And I said, you know, have you ever carried and seen a dead baby? You ever carried one? No. Have you ever done this? Nope. You ever seen this? Nope. Have you ever had anybody die in your arms? Get you covered in blood? No. Until then, you have no right to talk to me. I don't care what your book says. You cannot talk and live my brain if you've not done that. And, you know, of course, they've never provided anybody with any experience, what I'm talking about, that has cross-trained into the psychological world, which I got in a new group in LinkedIn. I'm excited to see if I can find somebody in there that's been in both. But it's really hard to trust people that's not seen the death and been to war and been to the bad, been to the places out there that sometimes people don't come back. And they come back physically. You see it all the time on TV and the movies, but you know what? I got friends that are like this. Get, you know, family and people like this. Wife goes to get a haircut and listen to people talking. Yeah, my husband, he's in the war and he came home. He's not the same person. He's always staring off in the days. Like, you know, dude's got PTSD. He's got some severe trauma. Oh, he doesn't need to talk to somebody. He doesn't want to go talk to somebody behind a desk in a tie. He needs to talk to somebody like me that wears just regular shirts, sits at home on the couch with a puppy like this, with wild hair, Easter baskets on the head, that's still trying to figure out how to exist outside a career in law enforcement. 30 years in law enforcement. I still carry guns and knives and things, and you think and you just don't know, and it's just, it can be tough. Medication, an alpha blocker named Prazosin, Prazosin. Prazosin. And I saw this medicine, and then when I posted to announce this, somebody said that they take this and it does great for nightmares. Well, I started to tell you about the Depakote and got off from the prison. They gave me Depakote for migraines. I was hallucinating and dreaming that I was a werewolf trying to pull my skin off, pull the hair off my skin. And then one time I took it for about 10 days. Another time I woke up, had several werewolf dreams, nightmares. It was nightmares because I woke up covered in sweat and panic and shaking. Then I had one that I fell off the bed and I was in the corner and stuck and I couldn't get up and get out. And I was yelling for my wife and she came and I was just laying in the middle of bed with a cover on me, on a pillow, with him laying on a pillow right by my head. And he's just staring at me like this, all big-eyed, like, what in the world's wrong with you, Daddy? He's giving me this look and I'm just freaked out. Then they switched me over to amitriptyline, and I continued to have the same kind of nightmare. And they stopped and gave me propanopal, I think is what it's called. And then I kind of had was having nightmares that I was falling, constantly falling out of the sky like out of an airplane. Or I was in the car going like 155 miles an hour, like light speed. It was bizarre, and I stopped out, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to try Botox. Okay, so Botox and the medicine they gave me Prestige for anxiety. Guess what happened when I had a Botox for migraine? Common Sense, thanks for joining. Common Sense, check this out. They give me Botox, and the very 10th thing about Botox for migraines, it says, if you have urinary tract issues or anything, it could enhance that. Well, every time I get COVID, I have a problem like not feeling that I'm going to the bathroom or not, that I'm urinating. It's like I lose feeling in my genitals. So it enhanced that along with the Prestige. And I'm in the hospital with migraine, with everything going, and in December I was blacking out. And I'm telling the doctor, I know I have to pee, I have to urinate, and I have to listen and look to see when I'm going and when I'm done. I can't feel it. And I stopped that medicine. Of course, the Botox got out of my system, and then back to normal. Now I can feel that I'm urinating or not. But give you medication, and you hallucinate. You have nightmares. Medication gives you nightmares instead of relieving a headache. And here's my favorite word. I saved this one for last. And in Insomnia and Nightmares, both the psychologist wrote sleep hygiene practices. And I wrote again, and I put a question mark. Here's the definition. Here's what the psychology world thinks about sleep hygiene practices. Oh, regular sleep schedule. You should go to bed at the same time every night. You know what? When you're in pain and anxiety and the world feels like it's just spinning and going around your head, and you feel like garbage, physically feel like garbage, mentally, emotionally feel like garbage. You got depression going all over. I drive down to the store to go to grocery and get a little bit of food. 70 degrees out in March, and I see dudes running. I used to run. I ran half marathons. I've been on 2 SWAT teams and 2 special teams in a prison. My whole life has been physical. That's why I ended up with back surgery and my neck is all jacked up. I can't run. So you want to tell me I'm supposed to just turn my life off at 11 o'clock every night and go to bed and have a routine, and that'll help eliminate insomnia? Kiss my rear end to the psychology world that wrote that. Comfortable sleep environment. Yeah. There's no such thing as a comfortable sleep environment when you live in constant pain. The pain in my neck right now has been about a 9.5 for 2 years. I'm supposed to have comfortable. They're nuts. They're absolutely nuts. At the bottom of my notes, I wrote LOLBULLSHIT. That's what I wrote to their idea of sleep hygiene practices. I don't know if any of y'all have found a way to get into good sleep hygiene practices, good sleep or not. Good sleep or not. I'm going to try and get a link here to you folks. I've written 2 books. And the reason I'm telling you about this, because I use Kindle Direct Publish. And writing these books, you know what, has really helped me. Really helped me with dealing with some PTSD issue. And here's this first book. Officer Perception, Surviving Danger. Here's a link. It's on Amazon. No, there's not a link. And I only get to have so many letters. Character limit reached. Okay. Officer Perception, Surviving Danger. It's on Amazon or on Walmart online. Walmart online. How about that? Let me put the second one here. Why people kill. I wrote about serial killers. I had a great time. That was a great stress reliever. And I have a writing partner, Timothy Amdahl. He got me into writing. He's wrote many books. Asked me to review a couple of his correction books, and then we partnered up. And we wrote these 2 books together. Why People Kill, Looking Deeper for Answers. Everybody. Amazon, Walmart online, you'll find them. You'll find them. Tommy, check it out. You'll find these books on Walmart online. And you can download the Kindle version. The books are $12 for Officer Perception. Why People Kill is $14. It's got a little bit more color and picture. But you can get the Kindle version, download the audio. Look, somebody here's tired. Here's my buddy. Here's the books, folks, right here. That's me. I know it's backwards here. If you go through my profile, you go through and look at my videos, look at what I'm doing, my posts, you'll see these things. Kindle Direct Publish is free. I downloaded the app. Well, actually, Tim did. My 3rd book, I've been doing it myself. But just download Kindle Direct Publish. It opens it up a format. You pick your design for your front, your spine, your back. You know, we've got our pictures back here. That's Tim and I. I got the blue shirt on. You pick all that, you design it, the chapters. It has blank text. It says insert text here. You just delete that, put the text you want in, and go through. What it does, the program, it lines it up column-wise, margin-wise. You have to do your own spell check, which technology has those buttons on there. You check it out, you proofread it, and then you submit it. And Kindle gets a 3rd. The cloud gets a 3rd for storage, and then the writer gets a 3rd, 33%. But I can tell you now, in 3 years, my part of this, and that's just my part, sharing with Tim, I'm getting 17.5%, 16.5%. I've made about $440 off those 2 books. So that's been very rewarding. Ken Lucky, thanks for joining. Insomnia and nightmares. Post some comments. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you think. PTSD is real. I had a couple of people when I posted this in the groups. I'm in about 90 groups of law enforcement, police, and security, and hospital security and corrections, bail bondsmen, all kind of stuff. Groups and linked. A couple of them tell me. I had another warden from a federal prison, message me directly this week and tell me he saw the podcast last week talking about putting your PTSD in a closet, locking it away. And I talked about opening the door. Sometimes, shutting the door, leave it open a little bit. Don't ever shut that door and lock it and think you're going to put it away and hide it, because you're not. Because the harder you try to hide it, the more it's going to affect you. But he said that the video and talking to what I said brought him to tears. I've had 2 wardens from federal prisons that I'm talking to now about PTSD and things for officers. It's really important. It's really important. And as you can see, there's nobody here, no psychiatrist. Normally my wife's here. She's not. She's with some family right now. She talks some comments. We've been together 30 years. She's got me through this. Key, and I talked about this in an earlier episode. You gotta have somebody. My somebody isn't somebody with a tie in an office and a couch over there telling me to lay down and talk about my feelings. My somebody is my best friend, my wife, and she's in with me and we talk. She has seen and she has helped me to get through everything. Look at this little face right here. You know, the cats that are walking across the floor. This helps to brighten up your day. And when you have through the day, you have little moments that they build. Kind of like if you eat an M&M every time you're happy through the day. Me, I'd be going through a whole big bag of them. I'd be going through a big bag. I do have some depression, do have some things that are going on. Frustrating. Physically, I can't do anything anymore after this surgery and looking for more. So I don't sleep well. But then I have weird stuff. And, 8, 9 o'clock at night, I'm watching TV with the wife. We're talking, watching TV, and right in the mid-sentence, I'll be out. Have problems going to sleep at night, have problems staying awake, up and down, back and forth. So a lot of stuff going on, and compression in my neck we're going to figure out and address, but it's just crazy. Okay, here we go. Hi. You going to come see me too? Now she's going to come over here. He'll be jealous. Okay, she's just passing on by. Yeah, he's up. He's got to be number one. There you go. She left. It's okay. She left. Yeah. She just came over here to say hi. This typical. This typical if I make a video. Have them coming and going like this. Remember, every Thursday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm here in Kentucky. Painting for PTSD. And as I said, next week we're going to talk about when it controls your life. In 2 weeks, on the 10th of April, got a special guest, Wesley. He's a veteran. He also worked at the same prison with me. And we're going to talk about suicide when suicidal thoughts lead to actions. Okay. Yeah, I got you. I know. I have to lean back and get your attention. That's an important show because that's been very close to me and my family, and I've had children that have been suicidal. It's going to be a very, very great, interesting show. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for everything, for always being around. Thank you for being curious, being interested, wanting to be a part, to understand, to listen, to share. This is a safe place. Dr. Phil says that on his TV show. He's not here. Nobody's around like that. The only cameras is me, my phone, tablet, just talking. Yes, we're live. You can cover your face. If I can have a guest and cover their face. People post comments on their fake accounts. I'm pretty sure Menace to Dennis isn't his real name. I get people's different names, different things. They get on and they just talk, just post a comment, just say something. And sometimes even just saying something out loud, to just say it out loud. It took me till I was 56 to look at my wife and say, I have PTSD. It took me that long to admit that. So sometimes you just gotta be there. You just gotta say it. But check out, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Sergeant Beast Larson. I do have a playlist. I do talk about a recap. One of my favorite shows, so Special Forces, World's Toughest Test. The celebrities, the ball players, the movie stars, the influencers, the bachelor, bachelorette folks that think they have what it takes and they go spend that 10 days with the Special Forces guys, Force Recon. Yeah, Navy SEAL, yeah, British SAS, yeah. And they go through a watered down version. Just to push them a little bit to see what it is. It's a reality check. But I do talk about that. I do reaction videos to incidents involving police correction, force incidents. I try and keep them away from the actual where they're getting shot, where it's just other ones that don't get flagged. TikTok, this is a partially restricted, age-restricted video because I said PTSD in the title, insomnia and nightmares, PTSD. So it's a sensitive subject to some folks. But check it out. Thanks for joining, and I'll see y'all next week.